After Abraham left Babylon, he journeyed through various regions, including Haran, Canaan, and later Egypt. His message was to spread the message of monotheism, calling people to worship the one true God throughout his travels. He sought places where his message could be received, trusting in God's guidance. During Abraham's time in Egypt, an important event occurred that would change his family's future. When Abraham and Sarah arrived in Egypt, the ruler of Egypt was struck by Sarah's beauty. He desired to take her for himself. However, God protected Sarah. Recognizing Sarah's virtue and Abraham's prophetic status, he released her and offered them gifts, including Hagar, who was given to Sarah as a servant. As time passed and both Sarah and Abraham grew older without children, Sarah, recognizing her own inability to conceive, suggested that Abraham take Hagar as his wife so he might have offspring. Abraham accepted Sarah's suggestion and Hagar soon became his second wife. From this union, Hagar bore Abraham a son named Ishmael. Ishmael would later play a significant role in the continuation of Abraham's mission and the establishment of the Kaaba in Mecca. During his travels, Prophet Abraham sought deeper understanding of God's power. He reached a significant spiritual moment when he asked God, "My Lord, show me how you give life to the dead." This was not due to a lack of faith, but a desire for further reassurance in his heart. God responded by asking, "Do you not believe?" Abraham replied, "Yes, I believe, but so that my heart may be reassured." In response, God commanded Abraham to take 4 birds, train them, and then cut them into pieces, placing the remains on different hills. When Abraham called out to them, the birds miraculously returned to him, whole and alive. This demonstration not only reinforced Abraham's belief in the resurrection, but also proved God's limitless power over life and death, deepening Abraham's already strong faith. Shortly after, 3 visitors arrived at Abraham's home, appearing as strangers. Known for his exceptional hospitality, Abraham immediately invited them to rest and prepared a meal of roasted calf for them. However, when the visitors did not eat, Abraham became concerned. In his culture, refusing food could be seen as a sign of hostility or bad intentions. Sensing his unease, the visitors revealed their true identities. They were angels sent by God. The angels reassured Abraham not to fear, explaining that they had come with 2 missions. The first was to announce good news, and the second would involve carrying out divine punishment. The first message was of great joy. Despite their old age, God would bless Abraham and Sarah with a son named Isaac. Isaac would become a prophet, continuing Abraham's legacy. Upon overhearing this, Sarah, who was barren and past childbearing age, laughed in disbelief and said, "How can I bear a child when I am an old woman? And my husband is also old." But the angels reminded them that nothing is impossible for God. This promise was the fulfillment of God's mercy, and the angel's message reassured both Abraham and Sarah of God's boundless power. Before the birth of Isaac, Abraham's life took another significant turn. God commanded Abraham to take Hajar and their son Ishmael to a barren desert valley, which would later become Mecca. Trusting in God's wisdom, Abraham obeyed. After leaving Hajar and Ishmael in the desolate valley, with only limited provisions, Hajar asked Abraham if this was God's command. When Abraham confirmed that, Hajar responded with immense faith, saying, "Then he will not abandon us." As their provisions ran out, Hajar desperately searched for water, running back and forth between the hills of Safa and Marwa, seeking help for her infant son. In her distress, God sent the angel Gabriel, who struck the ground, causing water to miraculously gush forth from the earth. This spring, known as Zamzam, provided water for Hajar and Ishmael, and eventually became a life-giving source for the people of Mecca. The story of Hajar's perseverance and faith is remembered during Hajj, when Muslims retrace her steps by running between the hills of Safa and Marwa. Years later, Abraham faced one of his greatest tests. In a dream, God commanded him to sacrifice his beloved son, Ishmael. The dreams of prophets are considered divine revelations or direct commands from God, reflecting his will. For Abraham, who had waited so long for a child, this was an unimaginable test of faith. Yet both Abraham and Ishmael displayed unwavering trust in God's command. When Abraham informed his son of the dream, Ishmael responded with remarkable maturity and faith, saying, "Do as you are commanded, father. You will find me, God willing, among the patient." As Abraham prepared to carry out the sacrifice, God intervened at the last moment, sending a ram to be sacrificed in Ishmael's place. This test proved both father and son's devotion to God, and the sacrifice of the ram became a symbol of submission to God's will. Muslims commemorate this event every year during Eid al-Adha, a celebration of faith and sacrifice. After the test of sacrifice, God commanded Abraham and Ishmael to build the Kaaba, the sacred house of worship in Mecca. Together they laid its foundations, praying to God to make this place a center of worship for future generations. Our Lord, accept this from us. Indeed, you're the hearing, the knowing. The construction of the Kaaba was not only a physical act, but also a spiritual legacy, establishing the site where millions of Muslims gather each year for Hajj, following the tradition of Abraham and Ishmael. In addition to Ishmael, Abraham later had another son, Isaac, who also became a prophet. Through Isaac, God fulfilled his promise to Abraham that he would be the father of many nations. From Abraham's descendants came a line of blessed prophets, including Moses, David, Solomon, and finally Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. Abraham's legacy as the father of prophets continued through these noble messengers. Abraham's life was one of trials and submission to God. His unwavering faith, absolute trust in God's wisdom, and willingness to sacrifice everything for his Creator made him a symbol of faith for all believers. His descendants carried forward his message of monotheism, guiding humanity throughout the ages. Until next time, May peace and blessings be upon you.